£3 billion extra in the last 5 years alone. Over £1 billion extra. Gone into schools, gone into hospitals, gone into elderly care, gone into children's care. And you've got, you listen to Suzanne and Sharon, you know what they say, the oil. Imagine you go into your work Monday morning, you get pulled in with a boss. I want to speak to you, something serious. Oh, you're getting worried, you know. Listen, I've got bad news for you. Oh, what is it? I can only guarantee you employment for the next 40 years. Think about this, folks. We're supposed to be frightened because the oil apparently is going to run out in 2050 or 2055, you know. We've only got another 40 years left, you know. Help my bulb, panic stations. Come on! Let's grow up and be mature about this. We've got 40 years of a resource to invest in our future. And on top of that, we've got the West Coast oil fields that have been discovered but cannot be explored. The oil cannot be extracted. Why? Because it's in the direct shipping lane of Trident nuclear submarines. Brothers and sisters, an easy solution here, isn't it? An easy solution. Let's get rid of Trident so we can extract the oil. That's what we'll do in independent Scotland. That's what we'll do. We should not allow ourselves at any stage to be frightened by these people about the idea that you can't sustain yourselves economically. Whether it's the Financial Times, whether it's The Economist, whether it's Standard & Poor, every single economic analysis that's been done of Scotland shows, even without oil and gas, we'd be a top 20 nation. We're a top 20 nation because of our food and our beverages and because of our tourist industry. With oil and gas, we're a top 5 nation. Top 5. That's the reality. Why would you knock back the opportunity to become one of the richest nations on the planet? Why would you knock it back? Brothers and sisters, you know, we have got an opportunity as well to save our health service. We've got an opportunity to save our education service. Some of these politically ignorant, political illiterates say, oh, don't worry if you vote no. The health service will be all right. Education will be all right because it's devolved to the Scottish Parliament. Or maybe devolved to the Scottish Parliament, that's right. But who pays for it? We control in Scotland, just in case you don't know, we control in Scotland 7% of what's spent in Scotland. The other 93% comes from Westminster. Do you honestly think 19th of September, imagine it, 19th of September, this country's bottled it. This country's voted no. And we're going to go down to Westminster and say, hey, by the way, listen, we've got free prescriptions up there, and we've got free elderly care, and we want to keep our health service in the public sector. I know you're privatising yours down here. I know you're letting big companies come in to provide health care, but we don't want to do that. We need extra money to keep our health service public. Can you give us it? What are they going to say? On your way, you bunch of cowards. You can sing your Flower of Scotland at Scotland matches and rugby games. But when you had the chance to run your own affairs, you've bottled it. That's what they're going to say to us. And when we go down there and say, hey, by the way, see education up in Scotland, we're trying to keep it as open as possible. There's a lot more today, but at least we don't have upfront tuition fees. We don't charge wains. £9,000 every single year to go to university. £36,000 for a 4-year degree. We don't have that. We know you've got it down here. And we know that we expect it to rise to 11,000 in the next 2 years. But we want to keep our education free. Can you give us the money so we can do that? Honestly, do you think they're going to say, I need problem? Oh yes, on you go, here's the extra money. They're going to say, what? Here's the budget you're getting. Barnett formula's getting squeezed. We're giving you less money. You privatise your health service. You privatise your education service. Because that's what we're doing down here. That's the reality of a no vote, folks. You've got the chance to keep the health service and keep education free. Here's the other freedom you've got. Here's the other freedom you've got. In relation to what I think is one of the single biggest scandals in the 21st century, that we are still paying for £100 billion for the most expensive, immoral, illegal scrap metal in the world called Trident. Scrap metal, why? Because if it's ever used, the planet's finished anyway. It can't be used because the whole world would be up in flames. And by the way, for anybody out there thinking, oh, but Tommy, should we not keep nuclear weapons because, you know, what if somebody attacks us first? Trident is not a retaliatory weapon. Trident is a first strike weapon. It can only be used as a first strike weapon. See if none of you have the intention of obliterating another people, another country, another part of the world. See if none of you want to do that. Why have we got Trident? Why don't we decide as a wee small country that we're going to stand up and be counted as a country of peace across the planet? Instead of spending £163 million a year maintaining illegal, immoral nuclear weapons, why don't we spend £163 million a year on schools and hospitals and doctors and nurses? That's what we should spend it on. That's what we need. By the way, just in case there's any doubt, me and the rest of the Yes campaign, we're not interested in just moving nuclear weapons. We want to decommission nuclear weapons. The MOD, the Ministry of Defence have already done a feasibility study. They examined whether or not it would be feasible to move the Trident nuclear fleet to Portsmouth. And they concluded that the collateral damage as a result of an accident would be too high. So they're just keeping it in a Clyde. That's why they call us the Expendables, by the way. Brothers and sisters, I don't want to move Trident to Portsmouth, to Falmouth, or to any other part of England. There may be a wee gap between us deciding to get rid of it and it being decommissioned completely. Where are we going to store it in that wee period? I've got a good idea. It's a big river called the River Thames. And it's got this great big house on it. Why don't we move the nuclear fleet right outside the Houses of Parliament while we're waiting for it to be decommissioned? And I'll tell you what, I wonder how quick they'll decommission it then, eh? Brothers and sisters, think about those arguments alone. You've got the freedom to save your health service. You've got the freedom to save education. You've got the freedom to get rid of nuclear weapons. You've got the freedom to introduce in Scotland a living wage instead of the poverty minimum wage. You've got the freedom to abolish the absolute scandal of 0-hour contracts which exploit our young workers. To abolish them in Scotland. You've got the freedom to ensure that the future generations of Scotland never have to suffer another Tory government ever again. That's the freedoms you've got. That's why this debate is all about freedom. Brothers and sisters, I'm going to finish my wee remarks, and as I say, if people do want to ask questions and people want to continue for a wee while longer, we'll do that. But I just want to finish by saying, I mentioned earlier that this is, I think, the 89th meeting I've managed to speak at. And it's been brilliant. I've met some beautiful people. I've seen parts of Scotland I'd never seen before. I've actually realised over this last 6-7 months just how beautiful our country is. And I'm ashamed. I'm actually ashamed at 50 years of age. I know some of you are looking and saying, oh, Tom, he's never 50 years of age.
Big milk run.
I think I'm only 40. Anyway, it was a hell of a paper round. The truth is, I'm ashamed that I didn't realise just how beautiful our country was. I do now. But there was an opportunity cost, brothers and sisters, an opportunity cost for doing all the meetings and spending all that time and giving up that energy. The opportunity cost is I've got a beautiful wife called Gail, and I've got a fantastic wee angel of a daughter called Gabrielle. And sometimes I don't get to see them much because I'm doing all these meetings. And I try and take my wee Gabrielle. I took her last Sunday to come and all, but Wayne's been Wayne. She says, Daddy,
what's it called?
I've heard it all before. You know, and I think, Christ almighty, there's Wayne's been honest for you. Kills you. But you know what? Even though my wee Wayne puts her arms around my neck every night and says, Daddy, I don't want you to go to the meeting, I still go to it because I know I'm fighting for her. I'm fighting for her future. You see, as a 50-year-old man, I think I will benefit from independence because I'm going to live in a better country. I'm going to live in a better country. For the next 20 or 30 years, I'm going to live in a better country. But the real beneficiaries of an independent Scotland, they're the 9-year-olds and the 10-year-olds. They're going to inherit a country that is less poor, that is less divided, that's more environmentally friendly, that doesn't have nuclear weapons on its doorstep. They're going to inherit a country where there's more employment opportunities, more educational opportunities, more training opportunities. They're going to inherit a country that's at peace with itself and prioritising the things that matter. My vision for an independent Scotland, brothers and sisters, is 20 years from now, 9-year-olds sitting on the laps of their ma's saying, Mummy, what was poverty? Mummy, what was racism? Mummy, what was nuclear weapons? That's the vision we have to have for our wee small country. Brothers and sisters,